So I'm going to read a little bit of the Bill of Rights, First Amendment to the United States Constitution. Amendment 1. Congress shall make no law, Part A, respecting an establishment of a religion. This prohibits the government from passing legislation to establish an official religion or preferring one religion over another. It enforces the separation of church and state. It's more or less telling you the state can't back or support anything. Usually the state has nothing to do with churches. If anything comes up against the church, it's usually going to be the federal government. Part B, Congress shall make no law prohibiting the free exercise thereof. The free exercise clause prohibits the government in most instances from interfering with the person's practice of their religion. The free exercise clause reserves the right of the American citizen to accept any religious belief and engage in any religious rituals. Catch 22, as long as it's not harming any other people or animals. That's the compelling interest and safety and whatnot for the community and society. Now that usually has been one of their biggest arguments about marijuana, but with the legalization in a few states and the 20 states with medical and just the changing of face in society, they don't have the compelling interest anymore in a real case, and we've been seeing that by a lot of smaller cases actually winning the religious rights. Wording the free exercise clause of the state's constitution that states that religious opinion, expression of opinion, and practice were all expressly protected by the free exercise clause. This clause protects not just religious beliefs, but actions made on behalf of those beliefs. More importantly, the wording of state constitution suggests that free exercise envisions religiously compelled exemptions for at least some generally applicable laws. The free exercise clause thus not only protects religious belief and expression, it also seems to allow for a violation of laws as long as the violation is made for religious reasons. In the term of economic theory, the free exercise clause promotes a free religious market by precluding taxation of religious activities by minority sects. There is a constitutional requirement for accommodation of religious conduct. It is in the free exercise clause. Some say, though, that it is a violation of the establishment clause for the government to give any special benefit or recognition of a religion. In that case, we have the First Amendment in conflict with itself, the establishment clause forbidding the free exercise clause. In other words, they're saying it's kind of a tricky thing, and almost every case is taken on its own merit and on the own individual's thing. There's no set path and pattern. That's where the bona fide and sincere religious practices and stuff come in. And all that, the First Amendment and all that continues to move on. There's lots of cases. If you need any citing or anything like that, go ahead and hit me up. I'm not going to start getting into it. Part C, Congress shall make no law abridging the freedom of speech. The most basic component of the freedom of expression is the right of freedom of speech. This also covers in religion as far as pulpits and preaching and stuff like that. That's why you can always have the minister preaching whatever he wants there on the corner, and they can't really shut him down. The Supreme Court requires the government to provide substantial justification for any infringement on speech. Right of speech includes other mediums of expression that communicate a message. That's like church pamphlets and the porn flyers and stuff like that pretty much flood everywhere, as well as all the other paper documents and stuff. There's also Part D, Congress shall make no law abridging press. Right of freedom of press guaranteed by the First Amendment is not very different from the right of freedom of speech. It's pretty much the same thing, but it says whatever you're allowed to scream, you can pretty much put it on paper and circulate it as long as it's word. And, that's where porn and insulting images and stuff came in. Uh, the media thing where the images come in is words words you can't see, you actually have to read, so they can't offend a kid or some other person from long ways away. They actually have to, take their own person and pick up the paper, and then you're removed from any harm to them because they went out of their way to pick up the paper. And part, well, we got A, B, C, D. Part E, Congress shall make no law abridging on the freedom of the right of the people to assemble. This allows people to gather for peaceful and lawful purpose, protesting church things. It's what Westboro Baptist Church uses to protect their ugly First Amendment rights of all the mean and nasty stuff they do to their fellow brothers and sisters. It's limited to the right to associate for the First Amendment purpose. Like I said, it has to be for speech, press, assembly, or, like I said, protest, more or less a petition to the government to redress grievances, which comes down to the last part of the First Amendment. Congress shall make no law. Congress shall make a law allowing for all people the right to petition the government to redress grievances. We all are very familiar with that in the cannabis industry lately. Well, I shouldn't say lately, for the last 30, 40 years, we've been petitioning for grievances to address them and get, our rights back, pardons, correct legal sentences, technically your Fourth Amendment motions. It's a petition to the government to correct grievance from the government, illegal search and seizure. So I'll let this one go at that. Know your First Amendment, but also know your religious practices, so you make sure all your actions are bona fide and sincere. Have a blessed evening.